It's time. It's 2 o'clock. All right, everybody, welcome to this what we call a pop-up, Facebook pop-up. This is a topic that has been top of mind, and Matt and I figured let's just do a little short presentation on it because it's we seem to see that it's all over the map in terms of some shops are experiencing a slowdown, some shops are not. Car counts is always an issue. How many cars do I need? Truly, do I need? Is it truly a car count problem? Is it a marketing problem? Is it a strategy problem? So I think it's a good idea to just go through the presentation and we'll just unpack it. So I'm Joe Marconi. I'm with Elite Worldwide. I'm a former shop owner for 41 years. Sold my company at 3 locations, 2021. I do this now because I want to give back to the industry. I've been involved with the automotive industry since I was a kid and professionally doing it for 50, 51 years. So it's something that I have a passion for. And when I see opportunities to help others, that's what I do. So I'm here with Matt Lofton, Director of Coaches. Matt, a little bit about yourself, just real quick.
Yeah, hi everybody. Welcome. My name is Matt Lofton. As Joe said, I'm the Director of Coaching here at Elite Worldwide. I'm still a current shop owner here in Roxborough, North Carolina, and had an opportunity to join the internal team with Elite about 2 years ago. And again, just enjoy the opportunity to reach out and connect and be able to share a little bit of the information that I've learned from Joe and many of the other people in our industry over the years. And like Joe said, this is kind of a timely topic always this time of year. As soon as we get past August and we get into September and October, we start seeing that car count go down a little bit, and helping, just working with our coaches and helping them help the clients. That's been one of the conversations that's been top of mind here the last few weeks. So we figured we'd go ahead and address it with you guys today.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt. Thank you. And don't let anybody kid you. You bring a lot to the table for a young guy. You have a lot of great strategies, and you bring a lot to the table. So it's a pleasure working with you. It really is. I think it's a great blend. Me, the old man, and you, the young guy. So it's a good blend, right? All right, let's just a little bit about us real quick. I'm not going to spend too much time with Elite Worldwide. We are a company that lives by the principle of never putting money ahead of people. Anyone who knows about Elite understands that that's who we are. We're a principle centered company that always puts people first. Real quick, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I'm pretty sure most of you know who we are. We do coaching, one-on-one coaching, management training, management boot camp we do. It's called Fly with the Eagles, service advisor training, mastermind groups, and a lot more. So our aim, our goal is objective is to give back to the automotive industry, just to help each other. I think collectively we are the industry that we keep the world moving. So we should be proud of what we do. I'm proud of what we do each and every day. So it's an industry that I love and will continue to love, and hopefully I can make a difference. And that's why we're here. So when we talk about car counts, we need to start off with understanding the numbers of the business, because a lot of times it's not the cars, it's not understanding the numbers of the business. We may have enough cars, we may not have enough cars. I get that. And sometimes you do have a car count problem, but everything starts with understanding the numbers. A lot of shop owners struggle with this. I know in the early years when I was in business, and I started in 1980, for a number of years, I struggled with the numbers of the business. And I was growing my business. I actually had, at that time, too many cars. I didn't realize, but I didn't know what the numbers meant and how to attain the profit that I needed. So consequently, the strategy was at that time for myself was just work harder, push the envelope to a point where you're just overheating yourself. You're getting overwhelmed. And what happened was it causes burnout. So I really wanted to spend a little bit of time on this about understanding the numbers. Now, there's a few KPIs on this slide. They're not all the KPIs, but there's some of the more important ones in relation to what we need to understand about car counts. So average billed labor hours per RO. labor and part sales, and your margins. What should your margins be? What should your part margins be? Your labor margins. What does that profit look like in terms of how it relates to the certain amount of cars you need per week? Average repair order dollar, ARO, that's another one. Sometimes when our average repair order dollar is low and when we're not meeting our objectives in terms of paying our bills or making payroll, we think we need more cars. And the reality is that maybe not. I'm not saying there's never a time where we need more cars, but we have to understand our benchmark first, our starting point first, and then move from there. Break even number. That's another number we need to know. And that's the number that you need to attain each week to cover your expenses. Break even is not a goal. It should be break even with profit. And that's something, if you're not sure how to calculate, you're going to need help with that. Ask your accountant, get a coach. That's what we do. We help with these KPIs. Break even is a critical number, a critical starting point. What's your sales goal? Once you know your break even, then what's your sales goal? Your sales goal has to be that point in sales that covers your expensive with profit, with a certain amount of profit. How much should that profit be? Is it 10% to the bottom line net profit, 15%, 5%, 20%? What does it look like? So these KPIs are very, very important. And again, that goes hand in hand with desired net profit. Effective labor rate. That's another important KPI. Many of us, we put a labor rate out there. We have a postal labor rate, an internal labor rate. But what's our effective labor? In other words, are we truly making per hour in labor dollars? Because you can post $250 an hour, but if your effective labor rate is 100, there's a big disparity there. So we need to know these numbers. So based upon the above KPIs, what should your car counts be? So I put this slide up. First of all, Matt, anything to add to this? Because I know you have a lot to add, but before we move on to the next slide, anything you want to touch upon that's relevant to KPIs and car counts?
Yeah, absolutely. And Joe, you bring up a really good point. And one of the questions that I always ask a client or a shop owner when I hear them say that they're slow, or is what does slow mean to you? Because a lot of times, we feel like it's a car count issue. We don't have enough cars. But when we really start delving into these numbers that Joe's brought up here, really what we found is there's probably an adequate number of cars there. What they really mean is that the revenue is low, right? They're not making enough money. And that's their feeling is that the car count is low. And we've all been in that time of year where about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the bays are empty. It doesn't feel like the phone is ringing, and we say that was a really slow day. But if we go back and we really take a look at the numbers, we probably had the same amount of drop-off appointments in the morning. We probably had the same amount of waiters in the morning. We just didn't sell off of those opportunities, right? And if we don't convert and we don't perform, then it feels slow. If we think about what we did the week before, did we sell off of the opportunities over the last 5 to 7 days? Did you have any rollover work? Because if you didn't have any rollover work and you were just living off the cars that you had in the bay today, it's going to feel slow, but you're going to have the same amount of car count. You're just going to have less revenue off of that car count. So Joe's 100% right here. Really delve into what that break-even number is, so you have a legitimate, sales goal about what you need. And then he's going to show you some ways later on about how you can back into what your car count goals should be, so you can truly determine whether you really are slow or not.
Yeah, that's a good point, Matt. Good point. And remember, everyone, profit is not a four-letter word. Loss is a four-letter word. Remember that. Loss is a four-letter word. So we want to make sure that we have profit. You need to have profit. So just keep that in mind when we go through these, anything you do on a daily basis. All right. So like I said earlier, there are a number of ways to determine what your car count should be. I figured, let me give you a real simple example, because I don't want to complicate things. I'm not going to turn this into a financial course either, but you have to know a couple of things. First of all, your weekly sales goal. What does that look like? Going back to the previous slide, you work with your coach, with your accountants. You know what your break even is. you added your desired net profit on top of the break even, that's your sales goal. All right. It just can't be break even. It has to be with desired profit. Remember, profit's not a dirty word. Loss is a four-letter dirty word. So remember that. So then we need to know our labor sales goal. Labor is what drives your overall profit, by the way. Parts, we need to make that a decent profit margin on parts, but labor is your best opportunity to drive profit to the bottom line. In this situation, 60% is a good barometer, good benchmark. If your sales goal is 25,000, then 60% of that, which is 15,000, should be a good barometer, a good shooting goal to attain for your labor sales goal. Then you need to know your effective labor rate. And the effective labor rate is found on your business reports, whether you use Mitchell or TechMetrics, ShopMonkey, AutoLeap. There's a report that's going to give you a effective labor rate. But essentially, it's the total labor sales divided by your total billed labor hours. That determines your effective labor rate. Remember, you could be posting, like I said earlier, $200 per hour, $250 per hour. What are you actually making per hour? Because the goal here is knowing that number. If we can improve that number, then our car count demand actually goes down. It goes down. So again, these are important KPIs to understand. And whether you're short on cars or not, these KPIs are critical. So knowing this information, you divide the 15,000 by 120, your effective labor rate, that equals 125. That is a critical number. That's the required weekly billable labor hours, required. Not what you're going to find in your business system, because they're going to give you your average billable hours. That's your required. So take that number. All right, then you're going to look in your business system at this point. All right, and every business system out there will give you this number on many different reports. Look on the end of day report or the business summary report, and you will see a line item that says average billed labor hours per repair order. In this case, we're using 2.9. I took like a random number, 2.9. So you take that number, you take the 125, actually, I should say, 125, the required billed hours, and you divide that into 2.9, that equals 43.11. Always round up, right, Matt? Always round up.
Always round up.
Always round up. And that means that in this situation, given this scenario, right, this may not be yours, but in this scenario, we need 44 cars per week to cover everything, to cover our sales goal, our profit goal, our labor sales objective, everything. So that is a really, and by the way, everyone will get a copy of these slides so you can have this. So if you're writing down notes, that's fine, but you will get this, you get these slides at the end of the presentation. So Matt, what do you think?
Yes, I mean, it's a great way to come up with what your car count goal is there. Joe's 100% right on the, you need to have your build hours goal kind of set in place first to really know what you need there. There's a bunch of different ways that you could calculate what your car count goal is. But this is a really good way that kind of incorporates what we're really after here, because what we're really after is we're trying to sell labor dollars. And labor dollars sell parts. So anytime or most of the time, if we're going to sell a labor operation, there's going to be some parts that go along with that labor operation, obviously. So if we can focus on our labor, if we can focus on our average, and then, one of the things that I always like to bring up to people is that your averages per car should stay the same, even if the volume of cars goes down.
Great
right?
point.
And
Great
so if I know what my average build hours per RO are, then it's easy for me to determine whether I actually am slow or whether we're just not performing within the process the way that we should. And how I would do that is if it feels really slow and I know that I'm supposed to get 44 cars a week, and I look at my average hours per RO and it's below this 2.9, then I know that, we have some sort of a sales process problem, right? So car count's probably not the issue. it's probably more of a process or customer experience problem, and we need to kind of focus on that a little bit.
Those are great points, Matt. Great points. I just want to emphasize again that this exercise, these calculations here are critical because, like Matt alluded to earlier, you may think you have a car count problem when it is a numbers problem and a sales problem. And you've got to get the right training for those service advisors. I mean, not to plug, Elite, but we have the master's course that it's a 3-day course that gets really deep diving into the art of selling, really building relationships with customers. And with that course, it really shows how to make that connection with the customer. The service advisor is the critical point in your company these days. That person on the counter over the phone could make or break the business. And it wasn't always like that. When I first started, I was the lead tech, the service advisor, the shop foreman, the janitor. I was the shuttle driver. I was everything. You can't run a business like that anymore. You really can't. So get the right training. Like Matt said earlier, it could be a sales problem too if you're not hitting these numbers. But again, it all starts with knowing your numbers, So without knowing the numbers, you're really guessing at how many cars you do need. Once you know the numbers, then you back into it. Okay, we have a car count problem, or we have a numbers problem, or we have a sales problem, maybe a performance problem, a technician problem. Then you can start making those adjustments. Okay, your profile customer, another critical part of being in business these days. I always joke around to say that when I started my business in 1980, we had 3 things that kept us in business and guaranteed business. Those 3 things were Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler. So those cars broke down like crazy. And you had an endless stream, but it seemed like every single day of broken cars in front of your bays. You don't have to worry about profile customers because these customers just came to you. But you're dealing with basically three car lines, right? As the years progressed and technology and all the different car lines came into the United States market and technology improved vehicles, everything changed. Nowadays, it's very difficult to be all makes, all models. It really is. I mean, think about it. And there's some shops that challenge me on this, but I'll challenge you back. Can you really be proficient on technicians working on a heavy duty diesel, trying to figure out a electrical problem, and then jump into a Volvo with a timing chain, then jump into a Subaru with a timing belt, and then jump into a Mercedes on a very difficult, complicated electrical problem? I mean, can you really jump around? Can you be all things to all people? I'm not sure you can these days. And I'm going to make a fair bet that if you try to do that, you're going to be spreading yourself too thin. Again, this is a car count presentation, but you need to know this because when you narrow your focus, identify your profile customer and vehicles and the type of services and repairs you want to provide to those profile customers, you're going to be much more efficient and productive, which means you can get a lot more cars in and get them out. And what you're also doing, you're building a loyal customer base through building relationships that will help ensure consistent car counts. When you cater to your profile customers, right? Profile customers, they trust you, not because it's not about price at this point. They trust you because of the relationships you built, and you know who they are, basically. We can do a whole presentation on profile customers, but you know who they are, basically. The person, look at the lower left-hand corner of that image. They just hand you their keys. Fix it. I'll be back at 5. Do whatever you got to do. Cater to those people. Find out who they are and cater to them. And when you do your marketing, align your marketing with those profile customers. You're going to get, through your shop, a better clientele that's more aligned with your philosophies, your culture, everything to build that business. And obviously, you need to track all first-time customers and repeat customers to make sure that of where you're getting these people from. That's going to be good information to use when you go into your marketing strategy. Every program out there, whether you know it or not, has a source and referral feature. What that means is when a person comes in for the first time, Larry Smith, you were recommended by your neighbor. That's very good. Had you know about us before? No. So who's your neighbor, Larry Smith? Okay, so you put that down inside your business system. You track that, and you can get reports of where these new customers came from and all the returning customers. So it's a good way to enhance your strategy because you don't want to be random. You don't want to be just getting everybody. Matt's going to talk a little bit about external marketing and some of the things you should be doing, but you have to understand that you do not want necessarily everyone. You want the ones that are going to be more aligned with your profile customer. Matt, anything to add?
Yeah, so just another spin off of what Joe's saying here. The other thing is that not every customer and not every vehicle has the same amount of opportunity for you as a business. And the better you get at understanding which vehicles and which customer types provide the most opportunity for you, and then you have to align your business model and your strategy with what those customers, what they value, right? And there's not one way to skin the cat in automotive repair. There's not one market, there's not one customer base. So there's just like there's not one restaurant, right? There's different business models inside of the restaurant industry, and same concept for what we do as well. So there's different types of customer experiences that different customer bases are going to align with and want to seek out. And I know I was guilty of this. I picked the customer experience that I enjoyed and tried to force it on my customer base. And until I really started understanding, who my good customers were and what my ideal and the customers that provided the most opportunity for me. Once we identified that and really started to build a plan and a strategy that elevated the customer experience that they wanted, then our retention rate increased significantly, our average repair order increased significantly. All of those things got better, and as a result, our car count got better, because if people come back, that adds to your car count as well. Not all car count is new car count, and a lot of times we forget about getting recurring car count to come back in. So Joe brings up a really good point here. If you don't have a good idea about who your ideal customer is, or your ideal vehicle, spend some time thinking about that. A 2024 Hyundai Kia for most of us does not provide the same amount of opportunity as a 2017 Ford F-150. They are not one and the same. So identify the cars that you make money off of, identify the customers that you enjoy working with and they enjoy working with you. And we're going to talk about how to get more of those opportunities in later.
Very good. Excellent, Matt. I appreciate that. Excellent. Excellent. All right. So Matt, take this page because you're really, really good at some of the highlights of, Google ads and direct mail marketing. So just go through this really in detail. This way everyone get a good idea of what their external marketing should look like.
Yep. So you're going to have a couple different options when it comes to external marketing. Most of our external marketing is going to be geared towards new customer acquisition. So we have some traditional, online marketing avenues. It's going to be Google ads, or any type of online service ad, whether that be YouTube, Yahoo, Bing, any of the other deals. But I know that most of us are probably not setting up these ads and running those ads in-house. You probably have a service that's doing that for you. I do want to tell you, and I would advise anybody it's never been easier to learn how to do something. Now, I'm not pushing you to go do it yourself. I am pushing you to be involved in it and not just abdicate that to your marketing partner. What you're going to find is they make mistakes just like we make mistakes. And we've had customers that car counts plummeted down to zero, and their marketing partner put their negative keywords into their keyword section. And we were essentially paying to push customers away from us is what we were doing. So those things do happen. Be involved with that process, meet with those partners as often as you can, and try to educate yourself enough to where you understand it. But Google ads is a great way to drive in traffic. Loyalty and rewards programs, incentive marketing. There's great third-party partners that can link into your shop management system and help you create a loyalty rewards program for your customers. That's going to be more of your, marketing to your existing customer database. Community-based marketing. This is going to be heavily dependent on your area and what your area is. But we have some clients that do really, really well with community-based marketing. It also is going to depend on your personality and who you are as an individual. If you're a self-promoter, you're a guy that likes to get out there and shake babies and kiss hands, then you can do very well with community-based marketing, and you can also make a difference and feel good about it as well. Direct mail, I would say if there was two forms of marketing for external for new customers that we were going to focus on, the two most proven types are going to be Google Ads and then direct mail. I've got about 20 years of experience with direct mail, and I can tell you, I know it gets a lot of hate across the industry from time to time if you pop in some of the Facebook forums and stuff. But it is a proven marketing strategy. It works. It will drive in new business, new opportunities for you. There is a lot of things that you have to do right on the back end to make direct mail efficient and productive for you. So if you find that direct mail for whatever reason is not working, rather than blaming direct mail, I would first look at what is our new customer strategy as far as what does that experience look like. How are we planning on monetizing it? A lot of times when we drive a customer in the door, it's our assumption that we're just going to tell their car's going to be broke. We're going to tell them what's wrong with it, and they're automatically going to fix it. And when we don't, we blame the marketing channel for sending us bad customers, right? Try to look at the mirror first and figure out what we're doing in our customer experience that's not resonating with that customer before we go blame the marketing itself. So referral programs, again, we talked about that with the loyalty rewards, strategic local alliances, whether that be fleets, whether that be large employers in your area, whether that be things like schools, hospitals. If you have anything that's close to you and you can create some sort of a strategic alliance there to try to benefit off of that and make a mutually beneficial program. New residential programs. So this is really, so I'm in North Carolina. There's probably 5 to 10 states that kind of fit this bill right now. There's a huge redistribution of the population base in America right now, and there's people migrating into areas where the population is just really exploding. So if you don't have a new resident program, I strongly recommend thinking about that. If you're in one of those areas, Southeast is really between Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, parts of Texas are really experiencing a lot of that migration right now. And new resident programs are very effective new customer acquisition tools. If you can get in front of them, you're the first one to get in front of them. You probably have a good chance of landing that customer. And then warranties, what we have here is just like extended warranty referral programs there. So not that we're advocating for them necessarily, but things like Repair Pal, your extended warranty stuff. Again, not that we're advocating for that, but they do have it is an opportunity for you to bring in new customers and a way for new customers to find you.
Excellent, Matt. Excellent. I want to bring up one thing about external marketing to make sure everyone understands this. Your dominant strategy for getting in cars on a weekly basis, consistent basis, should not be external marketing. Would you agree, Matt? Should not be. Unless you're a startup company or something cataclysmic happened to your area, like a flood or something really happened, or you're expanding your company, open up another location. External marketing shouldn't be the main driver of needing to get cars through your doors. We're going to go through the next slide in a second where we talk about internal marketing, what you do each and every day. So just make sure that we understand that you need to do the external marketing. Everything Matt spoke about, you need to do all these strategies combined or a combination of these strategies in order to maintain a new customer acquisition rate, also for brand awareness. But in terms of car counts, in terms of consistent car counts, there should be a supplement. Matt, what do you think about that?
And you're 100% right. So I mean, new customer acquisition, if you're an established shop, if you're finding yourself having to rely on new customer acquisition marketing or external marketing, that means that we probably have a customer retention problem, and and we need to try to fix that. External marketing does not drive dollars unless the systems and processes that you have in place allow you to capitalize off of those customers when they come back in. Again, I hear a lot of customers complain, I just spent X amount of dollars on direct mail or AdWords, and all we got is a bunch of junk customers or a bunch of price shoppers, or that's deferring the blame off to the customer. And I think we're all guilty of that. I mean, I was guilty of that for a long time as well. But when you start putting the focus on yourself and saying, okay, well, what are we doing? What does our experience look like for that new customer when they come to us? How are we handling those price shopper customers? How are we dealing? What is our process? What does that experience look like? And what are we doing to convert those customers intentionally? Because they are completely different than your key thrower customers. And if you treat them the same, then you're going to lose that opportunity completely, or they're just they're Olay customers, right? They come in, they get whatever the discount coupon offer is, and they walk out of the door with a $20 oil change, right? And that's not the goal of that. The goal is not to do $20 oil changes. The goal is to get them in, have a really good conversation, explain to them who we are, what makes us different, why we want to keep them for a customer for life, and then make sure that we deliver on the commitments that we made in that conversation of looking at the vehicle, why looking at the vehicle is the right thing for them, showing them the stuff that we found on the vehicle, and then attempting to close on those opportunities. So if we're doing those things and we have the retention piece in place, then external marketing is you're buying new gross profit is what you're doing. You're spending $20 to make $250. But if you're not repetitively consistent with being able to take a new customer and turn it into a known commodity of what we're going to get off of that, then it's going to be a roll of the dice. It's going to be whoever walks in the door, and we're leaving that. If you happen to get key thrower customers that just walked in, then you'll have a very successful marketing campaign and you'll grow your business. If you did not, you will spend a lot of time and effort to not make any money.
I agree, Matt, 100%. What you said is golden. It really is. I just want to connect the dots what we said a little bit earlier. When you know your profile customer and you've narrowed it down to the vehicles, the profile customer, the type of services you want to offer to your customers, the type of vehicles you want to work on, it makes it a lot easier to align that to your marketing, because you don't want to just throw a net out there and get all the fish. You want to get the certain fish, right? You want to get the certain customers. You want to get the ones that are going to better ensure that they're going to convert them into legacy customers. That's why marketing, a lot of the marketing that I hear doesn't work, because like I said earlier, you're trying to be all things to all people. Narrow your focus, because marketing will bring in customers. It will bring in cars. Like Matt said, once the customer arrives at your doorstep, in your bay, what are you doing to retain that customer? How are you identifying that customer as a profile customer or not? Because if everything is aligned properly, you can increase the odds of making this first-time customer a repeat customer. That should be the goal. If they truly fit that profile, then new customers should do all you can to get them into making repeat customers, and we're going to show you that in just a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, Joe, really quick before we move on, because there was a great comment in the chat that I want to share with everybody. Matthew L. Made a statement that says, it's not mail, it's not Google ads. It doesn't matter what vehicle you use. It's the offer that matters. And he's 100% right. So there's a great quote out there, that says that a good offer beats great ad copy every single time. And so, you can have this really gorgeous ad that really resonates with everybody. But when we're talking about direct mail, when we're talking about Google ads, when we're talking about a call to action campaign, a better offer is going to beat the better ad copy every single time. But
That's a good
to be
point.
able
Good
to,
point.
to be able to profit off of the offer, you're going to have these systems and processes in place and have some form of a strategy to be able to capitalize on it when that customer comes in.
Yeah, that's a good point. Excellent point. All right, so what if you have a slow day or a slow week? All right, what happens then? You got to go into kind of a crisis mode. Actually, the best way to avoid a slow day is to have a marketing program in place, a strategy. It's the last bullet point, but I have to lead with that because that is the most important thing on this page is a strategy to do your best to prevent it. But there are times, there are situations, sometimes out of your control. So the first thing I want you to do is if you perceive that it's a slow week or slow day, I'm talking to the shop owners and managers in this virtual room. You got to stay positive. No negative talk. If you walk around the shop saying it's another slow day, guys, what are we going to do? The sky is falling. It looks like we're not going to hit our goals this week. That negative talk will turn into reality. That's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You will turn a bad week into a worse week. So no matter what happens, is again, I'm talking a little bit about leadership here, about what bosses should do, shop owners. And I know it's difficult. Trust me, I ran my own business 41 years. I've been in this business 50 years. I know how difficult this business is. It's one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult business to run. But if you go down the road of negative thinking, then you will, whatever you think about in a negative way will actually happen. So stay positive. Tell your advisors, put a plan together, get a huddle, a meeting, review the schedule, prepare for people coming in, look at what's coming in, the opportunity, bring in customers sooner. Call Mrs. Jones, say, look, I got an opening here. It's scheduled on Friday. This is Tuesday. I can get you in today for that New York State inspection or whatever it is, that oil change and tire rotation. Look for opportunity. Go through the schedule. So let's try to maximize what we have. All right. Go through your files. All those deferred and declined work, we all track that. You should be tracking it. You should be doing multi-points and tracking everything that was deferred or declined. Well, call those customers. You remember, I don't like using the word declined. I like the word deferred. Declined is kind of a finality, it's a final termination, like that's it. But deferred means I can't go for those tires now. I can't go for the timing belt now. I can't go. So I can't for whatever reason, but call those customers. All right. You should be tracking this anyway. You should be able to understand how to generate reports from your business system that gives you the list of all this deferred and declined work. Call those customers one at a time. It's better to be proactive than sit on your hands. You remember, you sit on your hands and do nothing, nothing's going to happen. Try to make a difference. Review all vehicle history. Spend time on this. Put a plan together of all recent vehicle visits. Look for any overdue maintenances never done, maintenances coming up. You never know. You may again make those phone calls just by the act of doing it. You may make 10 phone calls. Maybe you bring in one customer, two customers. It's better than sitting on your hands. Have a text marketing strategy in place. We all have these CRM companies we deal with now. Talk to them about a text marketing strategy. In other words, shoot a text message out to all your clientele. Maybe just touching base. How's everything? How's your vehicle performing? Have any questions? Maybe it's a good time to have those rear brakes done. Whatever it is, have something in place. And by the way, maximize the sales on the cars you have right now. Maybe tap the brake because the brake is slow already. So tap the brake even further and say, what can we really maximize that maybe we can do differently to get those needed sales in this week? And obviously, the most important thing is slow days will happen. You want to try to minimize those slow days. That means having a marketing program in place. A lot of what I'm going to talk about in the next slide will cover some of the things you can do to create a follow-up visits. This way you can eliminate some of these slow days. Matt, what do you think? What,
Yeah,
what,
so
go ahead.
we talked about this earlier, and about what is slow, and I think that what I've come to try to develop my definition of slow is that my car count really shouldn't change, my internal process shouldn't really change. What slow means to me is that we have we're going to have a low revenue time period, whatever that is, and we all of us are going to have some seasonality in our individual markets that present difficulties for us when it comes to revenue. So this time of year, as we get into the holiday season, we all know typically there's a little bit of reduction in revenue, and what that really is it's disposable income in your customer base, right? And so Mike in the chat actually put in there that they've seen it this year that the first 2 weeks are slow, and historically the last 2 weeks get really busy, and but their AWR, their average written repair order stays the same. Their car count kind of stays the same. It's just they see a drop off in that revenue. If you can keep your average written repair order the same and you can keep your car count the same, then really what we're doing is we're using Joe's favorite word of deferred work, right? We're turning that work into deferred work. You may not see the fruits of that labor today, but I'm going to get that work coming back in, and at the end of February, the end of into March, April, when tax money comes back in, when everything is slammed. So the goal is to again create that marketing plan, create that marketing strategy, and then work on the retention side of it to where we can keep car count flat and even, whatever that is, and then really work on the processes and strategies that it takes to have consistent discovery off every car that comes in, to have a consistent closing percentage, whatever that is, and that way you have a consistent ARO of when it comes in. And then again, like we said, then once we know those things, then our marketing strategy is now we're just every car that we buy to our car count is adding a known commodity or a known quantity of gross profit dollars to the table.
Yeah, yeah. I just want to piggyback on this defer and decline terminology because people kind of get confused. And the reason why I like deferred as opposed to declines, because if you do the multi-points correctly and the service advisors are making the presentations correctly, the work that you're presenting at this time is it needs to be done either today or in the near future, or maybe 6 months down the road. So when a person says, I'm not doing those rear tires, I'm not doing those front brakes, I'm not doing those wiper blades, what are they telling you? Sometimes they're telling you, I'm not doing that work here. They're going to do it
The
somewhere.
door master is on the phone. He needs to get paid. Let me give you my.
Okay. Anyway, so if the service supervisor is doing their job properly, if they're making the presentation properly, maybe that person can't go for 4 brakes, 4 tires, calipers, 60K service, 30K service, whatever it is, all that day. I get that. Whatever is not sold that day that the service advisor presented needs in some way come back to us. All right. If that's truly, again, I go back to my profile customer. If that truly is my profile customer, that's my customer family member. All right. That's part of my business family. It's part of what it's our legacy customer. If that truly is our customer profile, right? Then that customer should be no debate whether that person's coming back or not. So be very, very careful. Now I know not everyone is going to be your customer. I realize that. And a first-time customer may be more difficult to sell to than a legacy customer. I get all that. But I think if we change your mindset a little bit, and the service advisors are really, they're well schooled, they know how to make that presentation, and they manage the whole car care experience. And okay, so the tires at 430 seconds, brakes are grinding. I can only go for the brakes today. Can I get it back? Or I can't do the tires today. I get that. So in my mind, I don't want to say that was declined work. And in my mind, and maybe it's a terminology, maybe it's a psychological thing for me. I don't want to say it's declined and forgotten about. I want to say, okay, so we need to do something to get those tires set up in our calendar to get them back for future dates. Make sense? I hope, guys. Make sense? What do you think, Matt?
I love it. And you're 100% right. I mean, if you can add to your future potential sales, and that's really what we're talking about here is, if we start looking at the decline or deferred services as our future potential, the only thing that we have to do is not forget to bring that up to them when they come back in. So that goes back to those
Yeah,
systems and processes, that
that's
we
true.
talked about is, if, if we truly believed in that recommendation when we made it the first time, as a service advisor, we have an ethical obligation to bring it back up to them the next time they come in. And again, that's going to add to our future sales opportunities if we're following those procedures correctly.
Excellent. And let's just go through some internal marketing strategies, because this, in my mind, is where the rubber hits the road. We're talking about car counts here. We're experiencing a low car count. Maybe we don't know if it's low. Maybe, like Matt said, could be a sales problem or a revenue problem. We don't know. But here's where the power of the internal marketing comes into play. It's all about the customer experience. It really is. Customer experience is the sum of all the customer service touch points. What I mean by that is the phone call, the card intake process, the meet and greet, the sales process, quality control process, the actual repair, the car delivery, the follow-up phone call, the follow-up thank you card, the text message 2 weeks later, a month later. Everything that the customer experiences, every touch point, the sum of all that is the customer experience. So every time you have a customer touch point, that's an opportunity to either make a positive impression or a negative impression. We want to make a very, very positive impression on that customer. Again, it really works well, this strategy, with our profile customers. Not everybody's going to be our customer, but the ones that are aligned with us, our culture, our philosophies, our values, they're going to be the ones that this process really works well. Phone call process and recording phone calls. I mean, that's very, very, you should be listening to phone calls. How the service advisors, how do they conduct themselves on the phone? All right. Are they saying no a lot? Are they handling objections correctly? Do they know what to say in certain situations? Very, very critical. First, this should be a first-time customer process. That customer, the red carpet should be rolled out. The first-time customer, you don't know who it is, but if it's a profile customer, then you want to make every opportunity to get that customer to return again. You've got to do all the right things. Spend time, a lot of time, with first-time customers, building the relationship with those customers. 300% rule. Every car should be inspected. Everything discovered on the multi-point should be discussed with the service advisor, and every thing discovered on the multi-point should be presented to the customer. And it's not just for sales today. We get that confused. I'm not necessarily saying that my service advisors have to sell everything that's identified today. That's not the reason for this. If brakes are at 4 millimeter, if tires are at 5 millimeter, then that should be noted. And this way, that car care is managed for the future. It's not just about today. It's about setting up a strategy in your calendar to not only maximize sales today by qualified service advisors, trained service advisors, but also having that strategy in place where you're getting customers to return. All right. You should have some sort of online calendar, and also saying yes more. Try to find ways to say yes more. I should tell my service advisors, and I tell my clients that in your calendar, set aside these unexpected slots, because in your calendar, because how many times every week, maybe every day, you're getting a customer that's calling you for some oddball reason. Check engine light is on. I hear a noise from my rear brakes. I need a state inspection. I missed it at the end of the month or the beginning of the month, whatever it is. You get those calls. Track those calls, the times you're saying no. If it's 5 times a week, 3 times a week, 10 times a week, then I'm going to ask you to open up a couple of slots and fit those people in. Try to fit those people in. If you're afraid that you're not filling up the calendar, don't be afraid. Because if you're doing the things I ask you to do, especially with booking the next sale, I'll get to that in a minute. Booking the next appointment, you won't have a problem with that. Saying yes is a very powerful tool to use. When you say no to a person, they get off the phone and they're calling somebody else. That person is more likely going to say yes. All right. So say yes more. Promote maintenance services and seasonal promos, especially around those perceived slow times. I used to have a saying in my shop about the month of February. I call it Operational February, Operation February. That means that we got to do all we can. That was the perceived slowest time of the year, at least in my area in New York. All right, that's when there was the dead of winter after the holidays. They got their credit card bills from Christmas. They're really at a point where business slows down a lot. Well, I made sure that I promoted seasonal promotions and other promotions, but I started it, believe it or not, in September, October. So I started to book the calendar for all these promotions, all these maintenance services to align them up in that month. I'm not saying I made February the greatest month of the year, but if I sat on my hands and did nothing, expect nothing. So you can make things better by being a little proactive. This next bullet point is important, really important. Vehicle delivery. What you do at vehicle delivery is crucial. Vehicle delivery is the first step to your next sale. All right, I'll say it again. Vehicle delivery is the first step to your next sale. If you're not booking the next appointment, you're missing a major opportunity for future car counts. And I know I've heard all the excuses in the world. My service advisors won't do it. My customers don't know what they're doing in 3 months. They don't want to book the next appointment. I heard it all. But the fact is, almost every industry does it these days. The pet groomer, the chimney sweeper, the nail salons, the doctors, the dentists, HVAC companies, plumbers do it. The boiler repair people do it when they service your boiler, and on and on. They all do it. Why can't we do it? They all do it. They know that booking the next appointment is the one true way to maintain consistent car counts. If you're not doing it, if you're shaking your head now, stop shaking your head. Just do it. Find a way to get it done. And customer follow-up. There should be some sort of a customer follow-up with every customer, especially new first-time customers. We all use a CRM, customer retention marketing program of some sort. I want you to make sure that's being done in a way that you're keeping the customer updated on their next service reminders, maintaining contact throughout throughout that time. Don't leave it to chance to have that customer return in the future. Well, they'll call me for an appointment. No, they won't. They'll call you when the oil light is on. They think it's the maintenance light or the oil reminder light, but most likely, and many times, it's the oil light because they're low on oil. Ask yourself, how many cars come into your shop overdue for oil changes? When you pull the stick, they have little to no oil in it. People today are not like the customers of 1985, 1990, when they came into you 2, 3, 4 times a year, 5 times a year for an oil change. That's not the way it is anymore. We have to be proactive, really proactive. Again, we're talking about car counts. Last thing on this list, and I want to hear from Matt, I'm sure there's a lot to say, is lost customer strategies. We have to understand our CRM programs and our business management programs well enough that we can get this information. We find out lost customers. Who have we not seen in over a year and a half? Why these customers not come back? They're not come back. They had a service reminder for a 90K service. All right. And then make the adjustments from there. Get some sort of strategy in place that you're reaching out to these customers. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, so I will be 100% honest with you and tell you that I was a skeptic of most of what was on here that Joe was talking about for a couple years. And it took a couple people really beating this into my head before I really started to accept it. And what I can tell you is the biggest difference that I've made in my business outside of people and, just having a better team is this stuff that Joe just went over on this page right here. It is lighter fluid to your business. It is, it will make such a huge difference. If you want to do a quick check right now to see if you're on the right page of any of this stuff, If you go into your shop management system and you open up the calendar and you look a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months out, and you don't see any scheduled appointments on there, then you need to adopt this plan and this policy that Joe just described here as far as scheduling those next appointments. If you think about just starting with your oil change customers, when you print out an oil change sticker, you already know the date that's on the oil change sticker. If you went and pre-made a pre-booked an appointment in your shop management system and told that customer at the time of checkout that you were going to reach out and contact them just to remind them, you're going to pencil them in for that date. What you're going to find is when you're in March, April, May, when it's naturally busier, that's 6 months from then is September. It's right now when it's naturally slower, right? Same thing with April, May, June, July. If you look at your 6 months out from there, it's October, November, December, January, and you're going to pre-book those appointments into those time frames that are already you're going to have a customer database scheduled for work in that time frame that you're already slow in. So it made a huge difference for us. I mean, a huge difference. And the ability to do it as far as whether we should do it or whether customers want us to do it, that's an internal problem that we have as shop owners because we're uncomfortable having that conversation. And I was 100% in that camp for a while. It felt weird to me to say it. But once we got past that and just pushed through and just started offering it to everybody, it makes a huge difference. The last thing that I want to, focus or is kind of highlight here of what Joe said is the 300% rule. That, there's a lot of conversation, about this, and it's been talked about a lot. If you know about it, it's not the kitchen sink rule. The idea is not to sell $3,000 off every car that comes in. All right. It's to give the customer enough information about what's wrong with the vehicle and let them make the right decision for them. And so it's not that we don't want to sell $3,000. We want to present the information to them so they have an opportunity to make the right decision for them. But then a salesperson in our field is called a service advisor. And so the advisor, their job is to advise them on the priorities and the timelines of what needs to get done first and what can be pushed off into the future. And so again, that 300% rule is future sales. And that's where that future sales comes from. We're going to have immediate needs that need to get taken care of today. And then we need to help them understand what the priorities are for the future. But if you don't do the inspection, if you don't do the estimate and you don't present it to the customer, you will never advise them on those future sales and you will not have any future sales. So that's where discovery and the 300% rule is so important. And that's where a lot of people get it wrong is they think, okay, well, I estimated $3,000. I got to beat them over the head with this $3,000 estimate. And if they don't buy it all, they leave. Right. So that's not the right way to do that either. Address the immediate concern today, present everything at one time, and then advise them on what the priorities are for the future so we can, again, schedule it out. We can make that appointment for the next schedule and we have future sales.
Yeah, excellent point. I want to piggyback on one thing and then we'll go wrap it up because it's almost the top of the hour. Most people, you made a point, Matt, most people or most service advisors or shop owners, they feel uncomfortable with booking next appointment. It's not in their wheelhouse. So what I did with my service advisors years ago, I had them speak at first with all the customers that were legacy customers, those customers that come back religiously. You tell them something, they come back, all right? And they come back year after year, month after month, whatever it is. Start with those customers, have a conversation, say, look, I know you come back every 6 months for your oil change service and tire rotation. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to just make a calendar booking right now. This way we have it in the book. Become comfortable with those customers first because they're going to say, well, I'll be back. I say, I know that, but I want to put a future appointment already booked for you. What's going to happen is, and here's what the problem is, they're going to tell you, I don't know what I'm doing in January 13th. I don't know what I'm doing. I says, I don't know either. That's what you tell them. I don't know either. But I'm going to put you in the book and we're going to contact you a week prior, through texting, through phone call, whatever it is, to make sure that and that's the secret here. You've got to contact them a week or two before. Just like your dentist, your doctor, your hair groomer, your nail salon, they contact you. All right. So, and then what you do is when you become more comfortable with those legacy customers, those profile customers, then you can hone your skills at that point and then take it to the next level and start booking for everybody. I'm telling you, that bullet point alone will change your business. Vehicle delivery, booking next appointment. You remember, car delivery is your first step to your next sale. It truly is. Okay, questions, comments, anything, anyone? A lot of chatting going on a little in the chat room, I see. So that's good. Any comments? We're good. What do you think, Matt? Want to wrap it up?
Yeah, no, it's been a lot of great comments in the chat. Really appreciate all the participation there. And again, it's a topic that comes up every single year. It's something that's that's real for all of us. Doesn't matter how big or small your business is. We all hit times of the year that that we would love to have more car count or better opportunities off that car count. There's been a few of you that have in the chat that have some kind of unique challenges. What I will tell you is the email addresses that you see here on the screen, or that text phone number, please, reach out to us if you're struggling with any of this, or there's a question that you have based off of something that we talked about today. Please email us, text that number. We'd be happy to help you out in any which way possible. And again, like Joe said in the very beginning of our presentation, what makes Elite different than a lot of the other places is we're a people first organization, and we really just want to help is what we want to do there. So if there's any way that we can help you implement some of the things that we've talked about today, or you have questions about it, please feel free to use the contact information there and reach out and let us know. We'd be happy to help.
Yes. There's a typo on Matt's.
There is.
email.
I'm going to put
I'm
my
sorry.
email in the chat.
Yeah. Okay, good. Excellent. So please, we can help you. No pressure, no high pressure. We're not going to beat you over the head. We're here to help. That's number one. If we can help you in any way, then it just helps us too. So I want to thank everyone for being here today. It was a good conversation, and a lot of people participated, and we'll do it again. When we think of something, we'll do this pop-up again. So I think it's much needed, and I enjoy it. Matt, thank you so much for being here with me and helping me with this presentation. I appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime,
Okay.
Joe. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. All right, everybody, have a great day, and we are done for today.